I didn't think the Clone Wars could get any more emotional, and then as I'm watching these seasons, it's like Dave Filoni was in my ear going, ha 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 ha, you thought. But it's okay. Thank you, Dave, because I still think about the show weekly, and it's been months since I finished watching it. So thank you. Thank you for something so amazing that it will never leave my brain. Hey everyone, KL here, and today I am bringing you another Clone Wars review and ranking video. Today is Season 6 and the first 2 arcs of Season 7. Thank you so much for being here. This video is going to be edited a little bit differently than the videos I've done before. Instead of sitting here today and talking to you about my thoughts on these episodes, I'm actually going to edit in my immediate post-watch thoughts from the first time, the only time so far that I have watched these episodes. So I hope that that is a lot more fun for you. I think it's going to hit a lot harder. And if you are interested in watching the full-length watch-along reactions and reviews, you can find the entire Clone Wars show over on my Patreon. Feel free to binge watch. If you're in the mood to rewatch the show, I would definitely recommend coming over to Patreon and getting access to these. And for those of you wondering why the heck Siege of Mandalore is not in this video, well, don't you think that that requires a video of its own? Because I certainly do. But here is what's going to happen with that. Come back to this channel on March 10th. That is the day that I will be releasing a pretty long video, and it is going to be 2 reactions in one. We're going to have my first time watching the Siege of Mandalore arc, edited in between and around my second time viewing Revenge of the Sith. The second viewing of Revenge of the Sith is going to be so much different than my first time viewing because going into this movie, I have all of the Clone Wars in my head. I've got some of the Bad Batch in my brain. I've even got some of Rebels in my brain. I just have so much more Star Wars in my head than what I had watched in my first time viewing that it's going to be a whole different experience. As always, the full-length watch-along for Revenge of the Sith will be over on Patreon, but I'm so excited to splice together these 2 different edits. I have a feeling the video is probably going to be a little bit on the longer side, possibly over an hour long, but I am so excited to bring you that. So I hope you are looking forward to it. If you're not yet subscribed, definitely make sure you do so that you'll get notified when I put that video out. Before we get started, thank you so much to you for watching today. Thank you to all of my YouTube subscribers, and thank you to my Adventure Club members over on Patreon for the financial support of the channel. And with that, let's get into it. Season 6 begins with the Orders arc, a 4-episode arc kicking off with the unknown. In this episode, Clone Trooper Tup succumbs to a very mysterious mental illness that results in him shooting at and killing a Jedi Master. He is sedated and sent to Kamino for inspection. Anakin and Fives accompany Tup to Kamino, but on the way back, they are ambushed by Separatists. All right, well, this arc is gonna be an emotional ride, I think. I really, really like the story with this. I don't know if I was ever expecting that we were gonna get some like what happens in Revenge of the Sith with Order 66. I guess I never expected that we would have like a glimpse of that happening in the show, but it totally makes sense to write something like this in the show where a clone kind of has something like this happen. But because the clones were still side by side with the Jedi in Revenge of the Sith, I feel like this arc is gonna be written in such a way where they must assume that Tup was the only clone that was interfered with. I feel like if they came to the conclusion, or if they come to the conclusion that all the clones are affected, then why would they have still used them by the time we get to Revenge of the Sith, right? Like, at least that's what it feels like to me. So predictions, I feel like Tup is probably not gonna make it. I feel like once Dooku finds out that Tup was taken back, I feel like maybe they're gonna go to Kamino and infiltrate to try and get Tup again. And that just has me worried about the other clones that are gonna be around Tup, especially since Rex told Fives to always stay with Tup. So I guess we'll see. There were some really pretty shots in this episode. The way things were animated were really cool. There was some just really well done visuals in this particular episode. But brand new season kicking off with a really good story, and I feel like the animation once again was just cranked up and it feels good. The Unknown for me is an A tier episode. So good. Conspiracy is the next episode in this arc, and both Fives and Tup are quarantined for examination. AZ-3, a medical droid, works with Fives to get to the bottom of why Tup is acting the way he is, and they begin to uncover a secret about the clone troopers. I really hope Fives communicates with someone. Oh my god, I really hope that Fives can, I don't know. But like I said after the last, or the first episode. Clearly, the Jedi don't figure out what's going on, because if they did, then we wouldn't have had what happens in Revenge of the Sith, right? Like I feel like the Jedi would have been smart enough to just not use the clones anymore. Rest in peace, Tup. I will miss you. I feel bad that he went through all that. I really wish that he could have spit out more information to Fives though at the end, but I mean, so when he was talking about the dream, the one in our dreams, the one we dream about all the time, there was two clones that kind of looked at each other, and then Fives also kind of looked confused. So I wonder if they all have these dreams and just kind of like disregard them as like, it's just a dream, or if it was just Tup that happened to be affected because of the chip doing whatever it was doing in his brain. And if the other clones, I mean, the other clones must not know what is like, they don't know about the chip in their brain, I don't think. Anyway, I still have this like horrible feeling that something's gonna happen to Fives, but I don't know. If something happens to him, it would make sense that it happens in this arc, because I feel like Fives is not going to give up on this whole tumor situation, and Fives doesn't know that it's the chips, right? He just thinks it's some kind of cancer or whatever. But I feel like Fives is not going to give up so easily, and I feel like he's going to get himself too involved. Conspiracy is another top tier A-ranked episode for me in the Clone Wars. Fugitive is the third episode in this arc, and Fives is hella determined to stick with Tup and figure out what the heck is going on. Tup is scheduled to go to Coruscant, where Palpatine's doctors will look at him, but Fives completely breaks protocol to get to the bottom of what is going on, and he discovers an organic construct, a chip, hidden in the brains of all of the troopers. But what is the purpose of this? It doesn't look the same as the Jango Fett genotype that Fives finds. He wants to see if his brain contains the same one as Tup's. AZ3 and Fives discover that these chips are implanted into every clone in stage 3 of their development as an embryo, and that yes, Fives has the same one.
By removing your chip, you are a threat. Master Jedi, we must terminate this trooper immediately.
I am not a piece of hardware. I'm a living being!
You were created in our laboratories. You are Kaminoan property.
Fives, you are coming with me to Coruscant. I think it's time you told your story to the Chancellor.
Master Jedi.
Except the Chancellor...
I beg you to reconsider.
Thank you for believing in me, General.
It is not a matter of belief, Fives. It is simply the right thing to do.
Except she lied to you about what it was.
It
So
looks
now
like you got
think
what you
that
wanted.
Thanks to you.
This arc is so good, but I feel like it's gonna end in a very sad way. So I'm kind of like preparing myself. I felt emotional when Fives was just talking there about like, we're living beings. I took mine out and I'm okay, blah, blah, blah. Oh, gosh. Okay, I still think my original theory holds true that the Jedi are not gonna actually find out what this is, especially with her. Like, she was very confident with that lie, and it sounded very truthful. She's probably had that prepared for years, just in case anyone ever came knocking and questioning. Once again, I loved Fives and the droid. I don't know why. AZ. Love their little team up and working together. They're a great little duo. And yeah, I think I'm understanding now why everyone considers, well, I shouldn't say everyone, but a lot of people consider Fives their favorite droid. I get it. Or droid. Clone. I get it now. Yeah, this arc is really good. And I'm loving like the insight into how the clones are created. So we've been in like a couple different rooms now, kind of investigating and seeing how this all works. Again, this is just gonna make Revenge of the Sith like super heartbreaking, even more so than it already was. Fugitive is 100% for me an S tier episode. I loved it so much. This arc wraps up with the episode called Orders. Fives continues to push and push for an answer about these chips, and he manages to get in front of Chancellor Palpatine to discuss it. He brings up the Separatist conspiracy, and Palpatine asks everyone to leave the room. Palpatine tells Fives that he is the one that orchestrated all of this. When Fives naturally is pissed off and starts to action that, Palpatine calls for help, and Shaak Ti witnesses what appears to be Fives trying to kill the Chancellor. Fives flees, and the Jedi are informed about Fives' actions, which puzzles Anakin. Anakin and Windu decide to investigate discreetly, and Anakin leads it with Rex, knowing that Fives will trust them. They confront Fives at a warehouse from coordinates given to them from Kix after Fives met up with Kix. Fives outlines the entire plot against the Jedi, describes the chips, talks about what Palpatine told him, and then becomes angry when it appears Anakin and Rex don't believe him. Commander Fox and his troops end up in the warehouse, and when Fives reaches for Rex's guns, Fox shoots him and he dies in Rex's arms, after saying that the conspiracy is bigger than any of them, and he just wanted to do his duty. Back in Palpatine's office, he explains to Windu and Yoda that Fives was affected by a parasite from Ringo Vinda. Oh my god, we don't have much of this episode left.
Thank you. Thank you for trusting me. It's all in here.
It'll be okay, Fives. We'll sort this out.
You don't believe me! Don't do it, soldier! Get away from me! What? No! Fives, call for help! We need a medic!
It's bigger than any of us. I only wanted to do my duty. Come on, fight.
That might be my favorite arc so far, because I think every episode was incredible, and I don't know that there's any particular episode I like more than any other. And it just had me hooked from start to finish. I think, sorry, I don't know that it's my favorite arc, because Night Sisters and Mortis are still very up there for me. Same with the Ahsoka arc. But I will say that this is my favorite clone-focused arc. 100% my favorite. Yeah, what an arc. Yeah, I had a feeling pretty early on that Fives wasn't going to make it out of this. And I'm so proud of him for escalating this as much as he could. It just sucks that because it's from the top, they already had their lies prepared to make Fives out to be the one that was truly renegade and needing to die. I'm happy that he was killed by a fellow clone trooper that was part of the Coruscant Guard of troopers, instead of having to end up being killed by like Rex or Anakin. Like I'm glad that the story wasn't written in such a way where they were the ones that felt that they had to get rid of Fives, and that he just ended up getting shot by, you know, the clone troopers that came in. So I am relieved about that. There was a part of me that was almost concerned that he was going to have to get put down by like his own people or like his own team, which would have like majorly sucked. That was very heartbreaking, but also so interesting to me. Like this arc was definitely the most interesting just because it directly ties into what happens in Revenge of the Sith, and it's just so good to get like more information about that. And I honestly think, I think these 2 seasons are really gonna tie in a lot with what happens in Revenge of the Sith, because of the fact we're getting closer to it, right? So highlights of this episode, I loved seeing the clone bar. I thought that was really cool. It was so fun seeing like a bunch of clone troopers drunk and like having fun with each other and cheering and stuff. So that was just really cool to see. It was cool to see them all hanging out together. And I feel so bad for Fives. He was doing the right thing. He was trying to convince people of what was going on. I'm wondering if Anakin and Rex take this information and believe him, or if they end up just agreeing with what, you know, the Jedi Council, like if they just agree with what Palpatine has told them. It's hard to know. It's hard to know what might happen from this arc, but yeah, this was a wonderful arc. Definitely a top arc. Oh, this episode was so impactful for me. It has to go all the way up to an S tier ranking. I was so moved by this episode. The next arc in season 6 is the Clovis trilogy, starting with the episode called An Old Friend. In this episode, we meet again with Rush Clovis, who has called on Padme to help him uncover corruption in the banking clan. They have incriminating information and need to escape Scipio, but not before being chased down by a bounty hunter named Embo. Wow, right from the Palpatine. Damn, okay.
Myself.
I was expecting Dooku on the other side of that, not Palpatine directly. Damn, okay. Also, that episode went by really fast. All right, well, I'm certainly enjoying how this arc is set up. Anything involving like financials, vaults, banks, whatever, just speaks to me. Having Clovis back is interesting because, like I said, we only got like that 1 episode with him. So it's cool that we've had so much space in between those as well. Because wasn't he in season 4? Right? Yeah, super cool. Loving this world and like the way the vault was set up and everything. I think Padme's plan worked out somewhat okay, except for Tekla having to die, which really sucks. And I'm just excited to see how this plays out. I love the Anakin and Clovis bickering with each other. It's so funny because like Clovis can't know that they're married, but Anakin's like around Clovis. Anakin acts like unreasonably angry for someone who shouldn't really be super close and affiliated with Padme anyway. So I don't know, it's kind of cool. There's almost a part of me that wonders if maybe they'll share the details with Clovis, but the thing is, even if Obi-Wan has never been told directly, it's like, why would we tell Clovis, right? So, but yeah, I'm very excited to continue on with this, and the whole like snowboarding thing was so great, and that just made me like so happy. That was a fun little action scene with that guy following them on his hat, like snowboarding on his hat. I love that. This episode was good fun, however, I am going to rank this one a B. In The Rise of Clovis, the second episode in this arc, Clovis makes a deal to put himself at the head of the banking clan. Meanwhile, Anakin is getting super pissed off about Clovis being around and Padme spending time with him, and his hatred of Clovis is starting to affect their relationship and marriage.
I sense a deep anger in you by my simply saying his name.
He almost got Senator Amidala killed, and I would have been responsible.
The Senator has risked her life many times. She's quite capable of
Agree,
taking care of
Obi-Wan.
herself.
They had a relationship. Once, I simply feel she is vulnerable to her emotions.
She is? Or you? Anakin, I understand to a degree what is going on. You've met Satine. You know I once harbored feelings for her. It's not that we're not allowed to have these feelings. It's natural.
Senator Amidala and I are simply friends.
And friends you must remain. As a Jedi, it is essential you make the right choice.
Kind of late for that,
Anakin.
but you know.
For the Order, then we should have no problems. Should we?
Yeah, Obi-Wan totally knows what's going on. The fact that he brought up Satine, and this is taking place after Satine died. So the fact that Obi-Wan brought her up is like also heartbreaking. Oh man. Yeah, this arc is great. I'm loving the corruption and the financial stuff and just this Anakin Clovis headbutting and the whole Padme Anakin thing, and this is great. It's nice. I mean, you guys know by now that I love when we don't have battles and stuff in Star Wars, and it does dive more into like the political relationship, character development, like more of that stuff. So this arc is definitely cool, but I feel like Clovis is just being pulled constantly in either direction, and like he just said that he's going to remain impartial, but that's not going to happen because Dooku's there to be like shot decider basically. So it's going to end up being like a separatist thing in the end. And then of course Palpatine confiding in Anakin a little bit there, and the way that Palpatine talks to Anakin, like he's so caring, he's like your grandpa, like he's so nice with Anakin. Of course, it's manipulative, as we all know, but it's just interesting for me to see. I really hope, though, that by the end of this trilogy, I'm really hoping that Anakin and Padme make up, or at least agree to resolve their differences regarding this, because when Revenge of the Sith starts, like she's pregnant and they're happy together, like super happy. But like I said, I really appreciate this show for like bridging that gap between Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith, because like Attack of the Clones, Anakin was very like immature and just kind of all over the place and like very obsessive in many ways, and like this show has allowed him to mature and we get more of that relationship building. So then when you go into Revenge of the Sith, it's not such a drastic change from the second movie to the third, right? Because that's how it felt for me when I watched the films the first time. It just felt very jarring. So I'm happy that this show has just really bridged that gap, and it's allowed us to see more and get just a better understanding, and I love that. So The Rise of Clovis to me is an A-ranked episode. And closing out this trilogy is Crisis at the Heart, and poor Clovis strikes a deal with Count Dooku to revive the banking clan, but now Clovis is just a pawn of Dooku's. Clovis brings the war to Scipio, which forces the Republic to get involved. Clovis ends up taking Padme hostage as a way to insist to the Republic that they've all been deceived by Dooku, and that he's done nothing wrong. Unfortunately, Clovis ends up falling to his death. This trilogy ends with the Moon government dissolving the banking clan and turning over the control of the bank to Chancellor Palpatine.
Clovis has blindly played his part. It now appears he coordinated the entire separatist takeover.
And because of this treachery, the banks will be firmly placed under the control of the Supreme Chancellor.
Oh, man. Oh. Shit, I didn't realize. Wow, okay. Damn. Oh my god. Is this how Clovis dies? Oh. Okay, Anakin, good. Good. Use the Force. Pull them up with the Force.
I can't hold both of you.
Force?
Let me go.
No, Anakin, don't.
I'm
I'm sorry, Padme.
Oh no.
No!
Okay, so I was right. Clovis died, but completely not in the way I thought he would. Holy moly. Well, rest in peace, Clovis. He's such a character where, like, you don't like him, and then you feel bad for him. Repeat. And yeah, I figured he wasn't going to make it out of this, but he definitely did not die in the way that I was expecting. I was not at all expecting that to happen. I felt very confident that he was going to be, like, either taken in by force or maybe, like Padme had suggested, turn yourself in, and either been imprisoned or killed that way. But yeah, that whole thing was very wild. Overall feelings about this arc, this whole situation was written so well. I love the corruption and the, like, just the way that Palpatine orchestrates both sides so effortlessly and maintains his anonymity with the Republic. And it's just like, it's infuriating because it's so good, if that makes sense. So I love this kind of stuff. I love the political, financial aspect to this universe, and especially within the Clone Wars and just the stuff that's happening within this period. So this was a really great arc, and I really enjoyed myself. It was nice to just kick back. And still, I think the highlight, though, in this whole arc was just the Padme Anakin effect. That everything that was going on happened to them. Just added so much development to their relationship and to themselves as characters and people, and I really enjoyed it. Crisis at the Heart for me is another A-ranked episode. Up next in Season 6 is the last duology of the show called The Disappeared Duology. In the first episode called Part 1, the world of Bardota is threatened by an ancient prophecy and the top leaders have vanished. Queen Julia calls for help to her most trusted friend, Jar Jar Binks. The Jedi Council sends Mace Windu with Jar Jar to investigate what's going on. The prophecy originated from a cult under the temple, and they end up capturing Jar Jar and putting him in a cage above lava, and Mace Windu fights them to rescue him. However, the Queen is also captured and will need to be rescued as well.
Are you volunteering to undertake this mission, Master Windu?
If the council agrees, yes.
So are we gonna have like a window? Are we gonna have a Windu Binks team up here? Oh my gosh, look at this.
Do not touch anything.
Misa not doing nothing.
This is hilarious.
Jar Jar, maybe it's this place, but you're starting to make sense to me.
Starting. What an arc. Okay, so I'm not super sure how I feel about this arc, and I mean, the next episode's the end, so I feel like this is like the last silly arc of Clone Wars, and they just threw it in here for like a little bit of that entertainment, I guess, because we've got kind of an unusual combination in Windu and Jar Jar Binks, which we have not had before, like just the two of them together by themselves with nobody else. So I don't know, maybe a good opportunity to introduce kind of a different species, because we have not seen this species before. I really like them. I kind of like what they're about. I love the music that plays in the scenes at their location, and it's just really interesting. Yeah, to me, this kind of just feels like the final kind of out there arc before we get into serious stuff again, which I think, or at least I feel like that's coming up. So I'll admit that last statement by Windu there towards Jar Jar being like, you're starting to make sense to me, kind of like acknowledging that his role to play is not just a silly one, and that he can, like, yes, he's kind of a silly, funny guy overall, but he's got a role to play, and there's a reason that he was made a representative and all that stuff. So because of that, Part 1 is unfortunately a C ranking for me. I would rate it D, but there were parts of this that I did enjoy a lot. And The Disappeared Part 2 continues right where we left off, with Windu and Binks leaving Bardota to travel to a moon where the cult members reside. They arrive at the Temple of Malmoral after fighting off a bunch of cult members to see that the ritual of the Queen's sacrifice has already begun, and Mother Talzin, the leader of the Night Sisters, is there. If the ritual is successful, Mother Talzin will have more power than any Sith or Jedi. Windu and Jar Jar Binks end up fighting against Mother Talzin. The Force Sphere ends up falling and shattering, releasing the Force energy, and Mother Talzin disappears.
We cannot rush into this. We must remain calm.
Maybe using the Force taking too long, and they're getting away.
Oh, man.
No, I see people, market, streets.
Yep, Misa see that from here too.
I see
Crowds. Wait, a square. And the queen. Let's go.
Wait! Misa thought we are not rushing?
That was before we knew where we were going. Now, the chase is on.
The contrast between these two is killing me. No. Okay, Jar Jar, you fuck. This is definitely the most exciting part of the entire arc so far.
Only an illusion.
I love the purple and the green together. Looks so good. I feel like I would have enjoyed this arc a lot more if we had Mother Talzin kind of like the whole way through, just because I find her so interesting, as you all know by now. Only having her appear at the end, like that scene was definitely the best for me, was like having her involved, having her fight Mace Windu for a little bit, and just kind of having her present. I think for me, this arc, both episodes just didn't quite land. Windu's my least favorite Jedi, so having him as a main character is like, it's okay. And then Jar Jar, like I do like Jar Jar, but just having Windu and Jar Jar together as the main characters in an arc is like, it's just off, especially considering like what we've been through. I feel like if an arc like this would have been back in like season 2, I would have probably appreciated it a lot more, because wasn't season 2 also where we had like the Bombad Jedi arc, right, where Jar Jar pretended to be a Jedi, and it was a very silly, fun, you know, episode. Nothing spectacular or anything. I feel like an arc like this would have just been much better suited like way back then. Having it placed here where we've had a ton of serious shit go on with like Ahsoka leaving and Fives dying and like Darth Maul, Savage Opress, like just a bunch of like big serious things that tie into like the overall picture. Just something like this just popped here. Just it, like, I'll admit it was off, and I'm sure that I'm not the only one that thinks that. I'm positive that there's going to be a bunch of you commenting about how you probably feel the same, because I feel like if I feel it as a new fan to the franchise, I feel like there's probably a few of you that think that way too. So, but I will say some good things. Animations, very cool. The species, very cool. Music, very cool. The final like temple area, very neat. The planet they were on, super cool. Loved the sky, loved all of that. So like there were still some good things about this, but in the first episode, if we had like when they first mentioned the mother, if we had like maybe some scenes to wherever she was and kind of like flip back and forth a little bit so that we like knew earlier who the mother, or like who they were referring to by the mother, which I should have put that together myself. I don't know why I didn't, but since it was a new species, I had a feeling like they had their own mother for religion purposes that they were like looking up to and stuff. I did not expect to see an existing character that we already know. So I think if they had done that and just like flip back and forth between Windu, Jar Jar, and like Mother Talzin and just involved her a little bit more, I definitely would have liked this arc more. But yeah, having her just show up briefly at the end was just not enough for me, and that's okay. Even though this episode was a lot cooler, unfortunately, I am still rating this one as C just because of the overall arc. The final arc of season 6 is the Yoda arc, and I was really looking forward to a Yoda focused arc in this show again. The Lost One is what kicks off this arc, and we open with Plo Koon investigating a Jedi ship that was thought to be lost, where inside he discovers the lightsaber of Master Sifo Dyas. Yoda, Kenobi, and Anakin start an investigation, and this sparks Palpatine as Sidious to let Dooku know that he needs to tie up any loose ends that would end up leading the Jedi to discover the truth about the Sith. Damn, dude. This is so good. I love how he fights with his arm behind his back. I know I've mentioned that so many times, but I just love it. Please don't fall off the edge. Oh my god. Oh, the music.
You have no business left with the Pikes Tyrannus.
Tyrannus? You are the man called Tyrannus?
I told you everything you needed to know on Geonosis all those years ago, Kenobi. You should have joined me.
Okay, I'll admit that that was super cool. Just the way the ship came up with him just standing on it. Great first episode. Digging into Sifo Dyas, finding the guy that he was with, them realizing that Dooku is Tyrannus and putting that connection together. Yeah, it's just, it's kind of aggravating because, yeah, we have to play this show out with Order 66 still happening and with the clones still being buddy-buddies with the Jedi, right? Because that's what happens in Revenge of the Sith, which came out before this did, right? So they have to write the show with that still happening, but it's just really frustrating because I feel like if this had been done in this order, I feel like with the information they have, like the Jedi should be like, who cares about public opinion? Like literally you can just say the clones were created for us by the enemy. Like why the fuck would we use them? Like they should just be dropped immediately, which I understand would be like heartbreaking because you've built bonds with some of them and stuff. But like, I don't know. It just, oh, damn it. Like, I'm just really excited. I'm really excited to continue this arc and see how it plays out, especially just with how this episode started, which was very interesting. I love that Sifo Dyas came up. I love that we now have like a physical view of him and like we know what he looks like now. Yeah, just seeing Anakin and Obi-Wan fight Dooku was really cool. The fight, the way that it was animated was really awesome. And yeah, Dooku's fucking piecing out both times, like the first ship jump and then the other one. I don't know. There was something really cool about it. It was very smooth. This episode was so fun that it is absolutely an A-ranked episode for me. In the next episode called Voices, Yoda hears Qui-Gon Jinn while meditating, who informs him that he has become part of the living Force. This prompts Yoda to question Anakin about his encounter with Qui-Gon Jinn back on Mortis in Season 3. Yoda also confronts the rest of the council about Qui-Gon, but they simply believe that Yoda is under attack from the Sith. Qui-Gon tells Yoda to travel to Dagobah and tell nobody he is going. Once there, Yoda begins the process of learning how to retain his identity after death and learn all about the living Force. Everything on Dagobah was really awesome. It was cool seeing that planet animated. Very cool to see what Yoda just went through in this last half of the episode. Like, I'm glad he realized that that was Qui-Gon kind of like showing him what was going to happen in the future. But yeah, I'm super invested in this. This is wonderful. This arc is answering like quite a lot of questions. I feel it's bridging the gap and providing that necessary context to so many different things. And I'm just really excited for these next 2 episodes. It's going to be so good. I think I said this before, but it's been a long time since we've had a Yoda heavy arc. So I'm really pleased that we are finally getting one. And this is so good. What else do I have to say about this episode? The animations, of course, were amazing and so spot on. I loved the lights. I also loved the visions that he saw and just how they were animated kind of blurry like. I thought that was really cool. And just hearing Liam Neeson speak is always a good time, and having him back as Qui-Gon for a little bit is good. I was really hoping we would get to see him. I don't think he'll show up again because he said goodbye, my old friend, so I don't think we're gonna actually see him physically, but I guess it depends. Like, Yoda hasn't seen anyone in the living Force yet, so maybe Qui-Gon does appear briefly to kind of show Yoda how that part works. I don't know. I guess I'll find out. This episode for me is another A-ranked episode. So far, this arc was just feeling so amazing and I was loving it so much. The 3rd episode is called Destiny, and we follow Yoda into an ancient world that is most likely where life arose from. Yoda meets the 5 priestesses who hold the secret to immortality and begins his training by undergoing various trials. They almost remind me of the emotions from Inside Out that live in your head with all their different expressions. There's one that's like kind of worried.
Sadness. Joy.
Oh.
And serenity.
Literally just listed them out. Here I was trying to figure out their expressions and then they did it for me. And the next episode is the season finale. Oh man, it's gonna be so good. This whole arc is so interesting to me and it's so good. It's so unique. It's not like anything we've seen before in the show. Definitely not like anything we've seen in the films. This is like whole new territory here and I'm really enjoying it. I think the highlight for me in this episode was definitely that like last part where Yoda saw everyone in the before times. Qui-Gon hadn't died. Ahsoka was there. Master Dooku is Master Dooku and not Count Dooku, not Lord Tyrannus. So it's nice to have like such a huge focus on Yoda. It's nice to see him kind of go through training, similar to what we've seen a lot of other characters go through. Well, not similar, like it's completely different, but you know what I mean? It's just nice to see him go through training. That area with the midichlorians was so interesting to me. I love how they designed that planet, if you could even call it that. Those characters, those women, Destiny, Sadness, Joy, those different expressions and such, they were really neat. And I just loved the fauna and the flora. And yeah, I just think this is so cool. I don't really know. I genuinely don't really know how to express how I feel specifically with this arc right now. But predictions, I mean, we're obviously got to complete the last thing, Ancient Homeworld of the Sith, which is going to be very interesting. This episode was so cool to me and so different and answered so many questions that it is going all the way up to the S tier. The season finale of season 6, called Sacrifice, takes Yoda to the original Sith homeworld of Moraband to pass the last test from the priestesses. It is here that he encounters a specter of Darth Bane, who was the sole survivor of the Sith in a Jedi-Sith war 1,000 years prior to the Clone Wars, and who instituted the Rule of Two. Sidious, back on Coruscant, plans to attack Yoda on Moraband, and he uses Tyrannus' blood to create an illusion to feed to Yoda, which is the image of Sifo Dyas, who begs Yoda to free him so that he can tell him the secret identity of the Sith Lord. Yoda feels that this is created by Sith and refuses. Sifo Dyas then turns into Sidious, and Yoda finds himself on a ship with Anakin and the 501st about to investigate a ship that Dooku is on. Duels ensue, but when all is said and done, it was all just the final trial set up by the priestesses, and Yoda passed. They tell him that he will train with Qui-Gon Jinn, and he hears his future last words, "There is another Skywalker." Both Sidious and Tyrannus realize that they have failed to break Yoda and that they need a bit more time. It's not real, it's not real. This is just Yoda's test.
Let him die, and you can stop all that I will do.
That line, God damn it.
Not victory in the Clone Wars, but victory for all time.
Except then the sequels were done. And we don't have the... It's like nice quiet theme out. Oh, I love it. I love it, I love it, I love it. That was very, very, very good. Oh my God, Mark Hamill is Darth Bane? What? No way. Oh my gosh, I didn't even recognize that that was his voice. Sorry, okay. Oh, I found a rogue Skittle. Nice, I will eat that after. This arc was really, really cool. And what a great way to cap off season 6 and get you like super ready for season 7. That was amazing. I did not expect this show to go into that kind of territory, and following Yoda on this journey was very cool, and it's answered so many questions about like the living force and the force ghosts, and it's tied in a lot with like the original trilogy. Now we got time on Dagobah, which is super cool. I'm kind of I was about to say mad. I'm not mad. A little bit disappointed we didn't get to see Qui-Gon Jinn, but maybe that'll come in the next season at some point, because we left off this arc with you're gonna convene and train with Qui-Gon Jinn and he will show you. So I'm looking forward to that. Darth Bane was really cool, and that whole last part with Dooku and Palpatine, well, Sidious, I don't know why I keep saying Palp, but in his Sidious form, Sidious and Tyrannus doing their thing to try and break Yoda, but it didn't work. I loved that. And yeah, it didn't... I should have known that that wasn't real, what was happening, and that it was just a test. Interesting, though, that through that, they showed Yoda kind of what they were doing. And it also, like, it kind of bothers me that, like, nobody can seem to recognize this area of Sidious's face being Palpatine's. That will forever be a mystery to me, but whatever. Oh, this episode was just, it was super neat. And I'm so excited for season 7 now. I'm super, super stoked. This episode was absolutely incredible. What a way to finalize season 6 and go into season 7 with. And not to mention, this was such incredible character development for Yoda that this is going all the way up to the S tier. The first arc in season 7 is Ahsoka's Walkabout, or Ahsoka's Journey. This is a 4-episode arc that is naturally focusing on Ahsoka and her new life as a civilian in the lower levels of Coruscant. She hides her Jedi past and meets a friendly pilot and helps the pilot, named Trace, with a dangerous droid. Trace's sister Rafa is also someone we meet, and the two of them have very strong opinions about the Jedi and how they are no longer what they thought they were back when they were kids. They insist the Jedi have forgotten about them. That was cute, that was fun. Yeah, Trace and Rafa were pretty cool, even though Rafa's not like... I think I can kind of understand where Rafa's coming from. So even if Ahsoka and Trace don't fully agree, like, I get it. Life's hard when you, like, don't have very many credits and are kind of struggling a little bit, you know? Sometimes you just have to make decisions that maybe you wouldn't choose under better circumstances, but you're not in those better circumstances, so sometimes you just have to go with something that you know sucks, but will help you out, you know? Awesome that we get to see a little bit of Ahsoka living life outside of the Jedi Order. Like I said, I'm not sure if this whole arc is gonna have Trace in it or if we're gonna see Ahsoka kind of bounce around between a bunch of different locations and maybe run into different people. Not sure about that, but I'm invested. I'm excited to just see Ahsoka kind of living more of a normal life. I was wondering if she was gonna use her Force powers at all. So seeing her save Trace, because ultimately like that was her only option at that point was to use the Force. But of course Trace didn't see that, so I think Trace assumed that it was still the pulley. So I wonder if it will come out at all that Ahsoka was a Jedi. I kind of hope it does. I feel like Ahsoka needs to find people to trust. She needs to find friends. She can't just be by herself and be lonely because that's not good for anybody. So this was a super fun start to an Ahsoka focused arc, and I am rating this one a B. The second episode in this arc is called Deal No Deal, and we continue to follow Ahsoka and the sisters as they leave on a job to pick up medicine to deliver. The medicine turns out to be spice that they have to deliver to the Pike Syndicate. The sisters and Ahsoka get into an argument about what to do with the spice, and Trace ends up dumping the spice into space because she is worried about losing her ship. Now the three of them have to come together with a plan to trick the Syndicate. Their plan kind of works, but they end up being trapped by the tractor beam when trying to leave, and they are now trapped with the Pikes. Oh man, that was good. I'm still enjoying this arc. This is super fun. It's kind of interesting to just see Ahsoka in such a different situation from what we've seen her in before, obviously. Kind of living life more as like a regular civilian, and I don't know. I like Trace, even after she did that stupid thing by dumping the spice, but I'm still not sure how I feel about Rafa. Maybe she'll grow on me. I don't know. I still think that it's gonna come out eventually what Ahsoka's background is. I feel like it has to at this point. I also feel like it has to just in order for Rafa especially to put some trust in Ahsoka. Now I have no idea what's about to happen here because they obviously cannot leave. So the Pikes, I assume, are going to haul them inside. And I'm kind of wondering if maybe the Jedi get involved somehow, like Anakin. I feel like you can sense things through the Force no matter where people are, right? So maybe he'll sense Ahsoka's in trouble through the Force, and then maybe we'll like come to help. I don't really know how that's gonna play out, but I'm excited to find out, and I'm excited to see how they get out of this situation. And it's crazy because we still have 2 more episodes left. I feel like something like this would be going into like the finale of the arc, but we're not. There's still a whole 2 episodes, so I'm super excited. Deal No Deal is another B tier episode for me. Dangerous Debt is the 3rd episode in this arc, and we find Ahsoka and the sisters have been taken prisoner by the Pikes on Obadiah. We learn that the home of the sisters was destroyed by a ship the Jedi was trying to regain control of during a chase after Zero's escape from prison. Their parents were killed during the collision, and the sisters were upset that they were left to fend for themselves without the assistance of the Jedi. Rafa ends up blaming Ahsoka for the trouble that they've gotten into. The rest of the episode, we see the sisters and Ahsoka work together to try and break out of their prison. Oh, well, that was fun. That was fun. Like I said, I mean, nothing about this arc has changed how I feel about it. I'm still really enjoying this. And I'm very curious to see now what happens in this final episode. I am now very curious about those 3 individuals that seem to know Ahsoka. As of right now, I don't recall or remember anything resembling that appearance, or I don't recognize the voice. So, but maybe they're people that we never actually have seen yet in any episode, and maybe Ahsoka encountered them during the timeline and it just didn't make it to the show. I don't know. So we'll see. I still don't like Rafa that much. Trace has definitely grown on me. I definitely like Trace way more than Rafa. And like I said, I'm still kind of hoping that maybe we get some Jedi involvement somehow, just because I think that would be really cool. I have no idea what to expect. Maybe the people inside those masks are... I don't think they'd be Jedi, but maybe they're good people that can help Ahsoka, Trace, and Rafa get out of this situation and away from the Pikes. I feel like this arc has to end on a good note, right? Like, I feel like we have to wrap it up cleanly. Very excited to see what the next 20-ish minutes holds for us in this arc. The character development on this one and just the relationship between Ahsoka and these 2 sisters mean that this one is actually going all the way up to the A tier for me. I just love this one a lot more than the other 2. Together Again is the episode that concludes this arc, and we see Ahsoka trying to figure out if she wants to reveal her Jedi past to the sisters. They are still working on getting out of this place, not realizing that Bo-Katan and a couple other Mandalorians are keeping an eye on Ahsoka specifically. Ahsoka ends up sneaking into a refinery where she sees the Pike leader speaking to a hologram of Maul about the operations. Maul senses Ahsoka through the Force, and she ducks away just in time. She goes to the control room where she looks up the log and discovers that Maul is on Mandalore. Ahsoka is unfortunately captured, and the sisters discover that she is a Jedi. They fight their way out of grip and are able to successfully fly off of the planet with the Mandalorians following them. They get back to the sisters' repair shop and Ahsoka admits that she was a Jedi, but she isn't anymore. Just explains that it's complicated. Rafa says that Ahsoka acts the way she wishes that all Jedi would act. They both thank Ahsoka and consider her a friend. And then Bo-Katan appears and says Death Watch is gone and that Ahsoka and her have a common enemy and she needs Ahsoka's help, and Ahsoka agrees.
What are you up to?
Who is this? I bet they're gonna reveal it and I'm gonna be like, oh, duh. Maul. Oh, damn. Okay. Oh, it's Death Watch. Didn't think of that. But makes sense now. I just needed to see the Mandalorian outfits, that's all. We didn't have much time with, I don't even remember her name now. Bo-Katan or something like that?
Isn't this sweet?
Ah, there we go. Ahsoka going after Maul. Let's go. I feel like we're not going to see these sisters again. At least I can't think of a situation where we would, because I feel like Ahsoka might not come back for the speeder. This is setting up for us to see Ahsoka again, and I have a feeling, I don't think it's going to be in the next arc, but Siege of Mandalore, which is the last arc in the entire show, being that Maul is on Mandalore, I think that we're definitely going to have some Ahsoka in that arc. So I'm very excited, because yes, this has totally set that up. We have to see Ahsoka again at this point. You can't just end an arc like this and have her not reappear again. So very excited for that. This arc overall was really good. I really like having Ahsoka back in the show. Like I said, I didn't know that she would actually be returning at all after she walked away from the Jedi. So it was really cool to see her interacting with some civilians and kind of living more of a normal life. It was really cool to see her involvement with this whole Pike situation, especially since Anakin and Obi-Wan were like just there 2 arcs ago. So that was really cool. And I love her. I love her so much. And just seeing her still be a Jedi, like, yeah, they were right. Like, being a Jedi is more, it's not just about your abilities, it's a total personality thing. Like, they shape you to act a certain way. But she's definitely like the best of the best kind of Jedi. Like, she's very much like Obi-Wan, where, well, except for the fact that she walked away from the Jedi, but they both act very similarly. Like, you know, they're both very good people that just want to help everybody. And I feel like Ahsoka's got a good blend of like Obi-Wan and Anakin in her, and I just love her. So this arc was very special and I enjoyed it a lot. I really enjoyed the sisters. It was kind of cool having these 3 gals fighting and doing all the things and being involved, and I really like the sisters. They grew on me. I appreciate that they were given like a good backstory as to why they are the way they are and what they're doing, like why they're doing what they're doing. So I really enjoyed them. And I think at the end there, Rafa finally came around to me a little bit. I'm also glad that they found out that Ahsoka is a Jedi and has those abilities. I don't know if I would have liked them never knowing. I think I prefer that they do, because like I said, I think it's better for them and it changes their opinion on a Jedi, right? Like exactly what, was it Rafa or Trace that said, you act like how I want the Jedi to act, right? Just being like, you know, I don't like some decisions that the Jedi make, but if they could be like you overall, like the Jedi then would probably be a lot more liked by the common people. So yeah, this was great. I really enjoyed this. I am ranking it all the way up to the A tier. Absolutely loved it. And it set up something really fun to come. The next arc in the Clone Wars, and the final arc that I will talk about in this video today, is the Bad Batch story reels. In the first episode called The Bad Batch, we meet the lovely gents who make up the Bad Batch, also known as Clone Force 99. They are Hunter, Crosshair, Wrecker, and Tech. These clones have genetic mutations that gives them special abilities. Cody and Rex decide to contact the Bad Batch to help them investigate why the Separatists seem to know the Republic's battle strategies and tactics. They have a theory that Echo didn't actually die way back in Season 3, and that the Separatists may have captured him after the blast and are using him to learn all about the clones' tactics. Once infiltrated, they learn that the algorithm isn't being stored in the computer, but is being broadcast from Skako Minor. Tech is able to get an audio signal that sounds like a human voice, and when Rex requests the person's identity, the voice responds CT-1409, which is Echo's clone identification number.
The strategies I'm using, they're all old battle plans Echo and I drew up together.
What?
Look.
Oh, I love what they're wearing, though. This is awesome. Aw, that is very cute. Oh, they look so cool.
These guys are clones? They don't look like clones to me.
They've got the mutations. Oh, wow, he looks unique.
CT-1409. CT-1409.
Echo. Yep, D. Bradley Baker as everybody. Love it. All right, that was a great kickoff to this arc. The fact that Echo is, it's hard for me to know if he is still alive or, I mean, I think he is alive, but I don't think he's Echo anymore. Like, I feel like they probably reprogrammed his chip to give them all of the data on the clone tactics, right? I don't know if Echo is going to recognize Rex or Cody or anyone else. It'll be interesting to see, because I have a feeling that they are going to get to him and find him. But yeah, the way this story is set up is really good. I'm super invested. I love the Bad Batch clones. I know they called them defective clones, but they're not defective. They just have these like little quirks about them. I don't even want to call them mutilations. I just want to call them quirks. I do think that so far Tech is my favorite just because he's more of like the computery guy. I mean, he can still put up a fight just like any clone, but he has that ability to be more like analytical and computery and techie and everything. And I just love that. I love the variety in the Bad Batch. I think it's great. And I really like how they fight. It's just different from what we've seen, obviously. So it's just fun to watch. And yeah, I really liked the music in this episode. The animations, of course, were really good because, I mean, we're in season 7 now, so the animations are great. This story is really good. And I have a feeling that we're not going to have too much of the Jedi in this arc. I feel like we're definitely going to focus on Rex, Cody, Kix, Jesse, and these 4 Bad Batchers. And I'm all for it. I'm super excited. I hope that Cody feels better. I'm assuming that Cody and Kix, was Kix the one that stayed with him or Jesse? I can't remember. I hope that they got picked up so that Cody can heal up and then hopefully Cody can join them again. Yeah, this is great. This is so great. I'm so excited. This episode is such a great start to this arc, and I am ranking it an A. In the second episode called A Distant Echo, the episode starts with one of my favorite scenes in the entire Clone Wars show. After this, we follow the Bad Batch, Rex, and Anakin to Skako Minor, where they work to find Echo. Do they find him? Absolutely they do. Rex did not give up. Echo is confined in a stasis chamber and has been drugged to the point of having no idea of his surroundings. He is missing limbs that are replaced by prosthetics and has multiple tubes going into him. They work to begin freeing Echo. Confused about what's happening though. Okay, this is cute. So that means Rex knows about Anakin and Padme. That is actually so cute. Oh. Hey, Obi-Wan.
Oh, great.
No, it's fine. Obi-Wan knows too.
What's going on here?
Oh, nothing, sir. I was just waiting for the general. General.
You've known Rex a long time. When you throw caution to the wind and take chances, where is he?
Right beside me.
Then maybe that's where you should be for him.
That's such great advice.
He's spot checking my gear, sir.
Here you go, Rex. Oh, and try not to break it again.
About this mission, I hope you at least told Padme I said hello.
That whole scene, I'm not even gonna lie, that whole scene is a top scene for me in the whole show. Rex's awkwardness, Anakin and Padme's very kind sweetness, the advice she gave him, and then that line by Obi-Wan just to cap it all off. Amazing, excellent. Whoa. Oh.
Rex, you came back for me.
Oh my god.
Yes, I did. You're safe now.
Yay. Oh, I hope this works though. Oh, wow, this is so good. Oh, I'm really enjoying this arc. This episode was awesome. I love seeing the Bad Batch fight. The one thing that stands out for me was Crosshair like sliding along the floor. Pew pew. That was great. I love Anakin and Rex teaming up with these guys and doing this infiltration thing. And I'm so relieved that Echo is actually alive and seemed to recognize that Rex was there to save him after he was unhooked. But I am worried about long-term effects, and I'm worried about if he's able, I don't think he's going to be able to just jump right back into being a clone, you know, fighting and being, you know, the way the clones are, because he's been here for a while, right? Like, I mean, I have no idea how much time has actually passed between the Citadel and now, but, you know, he was obviously taken by the Separatists immediately, put back together. I can see that he had like an attached arm, and then I think both of his legs were blown off, so he's got like metal legs and stuff now. And you can tell just based on his face that like he's not really been fed too much or hydrated, just enough to keep him alive. Yeah, I don't know, but this makes me so happy for Rex, and it makes me happy for Anakin too. But at the same time, I do agree with Anakin's advice that like you have to prepare for the worst. The start of this episode and the end of this episode made me love it so much that this one is actually going all the way up to the S tier, because that's just how much I loved it. On the Wings of Kiridax is the next episode in this arc, and with Echo recovered and relatively safe, it is now time for these guys to get off this planet. Naturally, it's not going to be easy, and they have to fight a bunch of separatists. Thankfully, Echo knows the whole facility, so knows of an escape route. Both fortunately and unfortunately, they end up on these huge pipes high in the sky, surrounded by D-Wing droids, when the Kiridax, the flying reptiles on the planet, come to their rescue thanks to a summon by Tech. Rex apologizes to Echo for not being able to rescue him before, and when they get back, it'll be like old times. Once again, another amazing episode. This arc is so good. I am gonna wait until the end, though, to confirm if it is going to be my favorite clone-focused arc, or if the arc where Fives dies, the Orders arc, is still gonna be my favorite. It depends. I still think that one is gonna hold out as being my favorite just because of how much it tied into Order 66, and Fives was just an absolute legend. But this arc is still making me very happy, and I'm really enjoying it, and I love what's going on. I'm so glad that they were able to take down so many of those droids and get out of there. It looks like they're going back home, which is excellent. I am worried though about what they said about, they need to recoup their investment. I don't know what that means. I'm assuming that we're gonna find out in the next episode, so I guess we'll see. But yeah, music in this, the battle was awesome, and I'm just so happy that Echo is like okay and he seems to be his normal self again, and just kind of jumping right back into his clone personality. And I love that he had a gun and was helping out and everything too. Obviously not to the extent that the other clones were, because Echo's been through a lot. But yeah, I'm loving this. It's so much fun. This episode, once again, so much fun. It is going all the way up to the A tier for me. And the final episode of the arc, and the final episode I'm talking about today, is Unfinished Business. In this episode, Kenobi and Windu inform Anakin and Rex about their plan to retake Anaxis from the Separatists, and once again, the Bad Batch, along with Echo, are recruited to help. At this point, Trench doesn't know that Echo is no longer on Skako Minor. Tech is able to mask Echo's transmission as coming from Skako Minor, and Echo has a plan to send feedback pulses to shut down all the Separatist droids. They are successful in this battle, blowing up Trench's dreadnought and surrounding ships. Windu, Kenobi, and Anakin praise the Bad Batch, Echo, and Rex. Obi-Wan mentions that they will get medals, but the Bad Batch declines, saying they're not doing this for medals. Hunter tells Echo that if he feels that medals aren't his thing either, and if he feels he no longer fits in with the other clones, he should seek them out. Rex tells Echo that he doesn't mind if Echo wants to go with them. Echo elects to join the Bad Batch, and they all salute to close out the episode.
You sure it's your thing?
Aww.
Those are some of the finest troopers I've ever fought alongside.
Yeah. What's he gonna decide? Oh. Happy ending. Happy tears, happy tears. I think what I love the most about that is the fact that the Bad Batch didn't trust him right away, and they had doubts, but then after what happened, they're like, you belong with us because you're different and your path has been different. And then Echo was like, yeah, it has been, so I'm gonna follow you guys and join you. Oh, that means we get to see Echo later on, which I'm really excited about. That is great. Oh my gosh, this arc was amazing. I love it. I am gonna call it right now. Orders arc is still my favorite just because of the Order 66 stuff, but this is easily my number 2. D. Bradley Baker is an absolute king. His ability to voice all of these different clones is incredible, and especially with the Bad Batch clones too. Like, he really gave different voices to all 4 of them. Wrecker doesn't even sound like him at all. And even Crosshair and Tech just have very unique voices. I think Hunter is the one that sounds more like the other clones, but the other 3 are very, very unique. So how this played out was awesome. I also was like the Bad Batch, and I didn't know if we could fully trust Echo. I was just worried that somehow they would be able to like tap into him again, even though he wasn't connected by his brain or anything, but I don't know. There was still a worry there for me, but this episode played out amazingly, and I'm also really glad that Trench is dead. Anakin definitely doesn't care about keeping people alive or not. He is definitely that one Jedi that's like, nope, if they have to die, they will. And I think he picks and chooses things very carefully. Like, he doesn't just kill for the thrill or anything. But I think killing Trench was what needed to happen in this arc, and so I'm glad that he is gone. This was a huge win for the Jedi, and I'm so happy for that, and I'm happy that none of the clones died. There was a part of me that almost felt that maybe we were going to lose a Bad Batch clone in this, but I'm very glad that that didn't happen. I'm glad that we had a happy ending, especially since we're about to go into the very last arc of the season, which I think is going to have a lot of heavy moments. So, y'all, what a great way to close out this arc. This episode for me is going all the way up to the S tier. I love the Bad Batch. I love Echo. Amazing. 10 out of 10. All right, and that wraps up my thoughts on the Clone Wars Season 6 and the first 2 arcs of Season 7, and we will see you back here on March 10th for my Siege of Mandalore and Revenge of the Sith. Super cut, super edit, super reaction. I am so excited for it. So, if you're not yet subscribed, please click here to do so, and if you want to continue on watching, please click over here. Once again, thank you to all my YouTube subscribers, Patreon members, and you for watching today. Take care, everyone.